Happy Friday morning, friends. So earlier this week, we were in our weekly meeting and realized that more than one of us had clients who were dealing with fraudulent claims this last week. And so Stacy and I recorded a podcast about it, and now I'm writing the blog post about it, just letting you know 3 common website scams and how to spot them. And part of my content development process is actually reading my blog post out loud to make sure that it makes sense and it's clear and concise. And so you guys are going to be part of my editing process right now while I divulge the 3 common website scams that we see all the time and how to spot them, and also like how to protect yourself against them. So first off, just know that if you are being scammed, you're not alone. Website scams are actually like really common because people know very little about how the web really works, and that makes website owners very easy targets for scammers. So website owners are a lot like car owners. Like, you know how to drive your car, but you don't know how to fix it if it stops driving, right? And so I know that when it comes to my car, I certainly do not know how to fix it if it stops driving. So if I go to a shady auto repair spot and the mechanic tells me fix these 10,000 things your car won't run, like I have no idea if it's legitimate or not. And I either have to call in like for backup, like I have to call my husband or my dad, or I just have to go with my gut. So your first rule to avoid any of these three scams is just go with your gut. Like if your gut tells you that things are probably not right, then they're probably not right. So we see 3 types of scams on repeat. The first scam is people pretending to be Google. The second scam is stolen images notifications. And the third scam is false domain or DNS expiration letters. So I'm going to explain to you what each of these are and also how you would spot them. Okay, so scam number 1 is people pretending to be Google. And this is the scam tactic that we diffuse most often. We call them Google calls. So our clients will call us and they'll be like, Google just called me and said, like, fill in the blank. They have their own scripts. So first off, this is a mega red flag because Google doesn't call people. Let me tell you, we work with Google on a regular basis, and actually getting them on the phone is like pulling teeth. So they're not just going to call you. Like we nearly exploded the first day that Google actually called us. We were like, what happened, right? And we spend a lot of money with Google, so they're not going to call you. Now, the most common Google scam call sounds a lot like, I work with Google and you need to do X, Y, and Z for your business listing on Google or you're going to lose it. And it's going to cost you so much money. Okay, so first off, these people are being really sneaky because notice how they say, I work with Google. They don't say, I work for Google. Okay, so the bottom line is that your business listing is free. Your Google business listing is totally free and you don't pay for it. You can verify it, you can create it, you can claim it at business.google.com, but you don't have to pay for it and you're never going to have to pay for it, and Google's not ever going to take it down. They're not going to. So the bottom line is that the person on the phone is not Google, and you should hang up on them because they're liars and not talk to them because they're actually trying to scam you out of your money. Google will never call you. All right, so the second scam is stolen images notifications. So this is actually a new scam. Like we hadn't seen this one until pretty recently. I actually learned about it just the other day from my account service crew. So the scammers are going to send out a letter or an email claiming that you owe them money for improperly licensed images on your website. And then it's a great scam because lots of people actually unknowingly or knowingly steal images for their website. And if you were to use images without proper licensing, then you would get a very similar letter claiming the exact same thing. Now, most people understand copyright laws when it comes to words, but they do not understand it when it comes to images. People think that if an image is out there on the internet, then it's free game and you can just use it for anything that you want. And it's really not the case. So how do you know if this letter that you got is real or a scam? So the first thing that you need to do is like a self-assessment, right? Going back to our gut. Like, did you or your web developer purchase the images on your website? I mean, that's the first question. I'm like, are you sure? Because you are the owner of the site. So you are legally responsible for what's on it, not your web developer. So it's important that you know how those images were, you know, gotten. That doesn't sound very intelligent, but there you go. Okay. So then number two, did you get images from Google? Like just pull images off of Google and put them on your own website. Like if you just Google searched for a type of image and then you right clicked it and saved it and used it for your website, then there's a far higher chance that this claim is actually legitimate. And if you are one of those people who are stealing images from Google, there are so many free stock photo websites that you can use. We actually have like a collection of them in a blog post that we made like a year or two ago. And a lot of the photos are really nice and super original and might be just what you need. So I would just suggest straight up just stop siphoning images from Google and use properly licensed free photos instead. Okay, or you could just take your own photos. That's always fun, right? Okay, so telltale signs of authenticity. So if this is actually a real letter saying that you use these images without the right licensing. Most big companies will actually send you a physical letter in the mail if they can get a hold of your actual address. So you would have a mailed piece of paper, and that would like show you that it is more legit for this particular instance. If it's a scam, they probably are emailing you. Look for a photo reference number. So does it have something that truly indicates what the exact picture is or where it's located on your site? Like they will give you a string of numbers or words connected that represent the image in their image database. Big companies tend to be very specific because they are making a legal claim, which has to include details about the supposedly stolen goods. So the scam letter is not going to have that information in it. And also, the legitimate letter will tell you how to remedy the problem. It will tell you who to contact if you do have a license to use the image. They'll also tell you how to remedy the situation if you don't have permission to use the image. They'll be like, okay, we'll take it off your website or whatever their policy is. If the notification is fake, then they don't tell you what to do. They're going to make you go fish for it. So they'll say something like, click this link to see which images are under scrutiny. And I mean, just in general, like don't click on links in like suspicious emails because that's a wonderful way to contract a computer virus or get your credit card stolen, right? So double check any emails or letters for the correct information, like that photo reference number. And remember that a real claim will explain exactly what you did wrong and how you can make it right. All right. So the third scam, and the scam that we see a ton and has been going on for eons, is false domain and DNS expiration letters. We used to see these come across all the time as like paper faxes, you know, facsimiles. Remember those? I probably shouldn't joke because I know that there's some people out there that still actually do get their faxes as paper. We just converted them to digital like 8 years ago because we got rid of our fax machine. But even though this scam isn't new, it still can be really confusing. So what happens is people send you a letter saying that you either need to pay for your DNS or you need to pay them for your domain name. But they don't own your domain name and your domain name is not registered with them. So these people are not just scammers, they're actually pirates. They're domain pirates, I call them. So they're trying to get you to sign your domain over to them so that they can sell it or they can use it for another site. And most of the time, the site that they're going to use it for is not one that you want to have associated with your business. Okay, they're usually a little shady. And that's very craptastic and it's very sad. And it's also very time consuming to fix. So signing your domain name over to these pirates creates a gigantic pain in your butt. It's confusing for your site visitors and your customers, and also anything else that's associated with your domain name will no longer work. And the first thing that you're going to notice not working if you've done this on accident is usually your email, because it won't work anymore if your domain is hijacked. So let's take like a small step back and let's talk about what DNS actually is, because most people don't know. So your domain name, some people refer to it as your web address. It's set up to be used in different ways. It can be used for your email, like monica@maycreate.com. That's my email. Hit me up if you have questions about this. Or your website, like maycreate.com, where this blog post will someday live. And it's also used, you can use it for other things as well. So your DNS is like a roadmap that tells those pieces of your domain name what to do and where to go. Okay, so we don't want people to steal that. That sucks. So how do we keep them from stealing it? Well, the first thing is if you got the notification by fax or by letter, that's your red flag, your first indication that it's probably a scam. You can comfort yourself with the fact that the company that you registered your domain name with, we call this your registrar, they're almost never going to send you a piece of mail or a fax. They're just not. They email you. And when your domain is about to expire, if you have it set for auto pay and your credit card has expired also, they will email you like a billion times over and over again. And they even give you a grace period to reclaim your domain after it expires, that they will also email you about repeatedly. So if you get this piece of mail, go into your email. Do you have a billion letters? Or I'm sorry, a billion emails? Then that might make it more legit. Or if you don't, then it's probably false. Okay, the second thing is you're going to look for on this document the words, "This is a solicitation, not a bill." So the scam letter, fax, or email that you receive is going to look a lot like an invoice. Think like utility bill. It's going to have a stub that you tear off and you pay and you send it. So most people just think that they need to pay it and they just do it. Now, by law, the sender is required to say this is a solicitation, not a bill, somewhere on the items that they send you. So oftentimes it's in a small, like in really small print in the middle somewhere. So if the letter says this is a solicitation, not a bill, it is a scam. All right. So the third thing that you can do is like back yourself up with knowledge, like understand where your domain name is actually registered. And you can check where it's registered if you don't know. So common registrars, that's what we call the company that you registered your domain name with, they're like GoDaddy, Network Solutions, Domain.com, Bluehost, HostGator, Namecheap, DreamHost, or Shopify. There are so many of them. Okay, friends. So yours could be registered anywhere. And if your domain information is public, and many are, then you can find its register by doing a who is search, WHOIS search. Okay. And you can actually search for free at ican.org. So type in lookup.ican.org/lookup. And then you just type your domain name in the search box and it will spit out a long report about your domain. And a lot of that stuff may not make any sense to you, but look for the word registrar. And if it doesn't match what's on the letter that you received, then the letter that you received is a scam. And see, I put spam instead of scam there. So I'm really glad that I'm editing this with you guys. Okay, so now you know. Number one, if someone with Google calls you, hang up because they're a liar. Number two, don't believe the people claiming you stole images on your website. Do your homework. Everything might be totally okay. And if you are stealing images, you need to stop stealing them now. You can get them for free. Number three, if you get something that looks like an invoice about your domain or DNS in the mail, like a physical letter, look for the statement that says, this is a solicitation, not a bill, on the mailer. And don't sign anything and do a who is search to figure out your actual domain registrar. And honestly, if you are not sure, remember our first rule to like thwart these scammers and pirates is just our gut, right? So if you are questioning it and you're like, this just doesn't really seem right, then call up the person who built your website. Call up your web designer and ask them like, what's going on? Because that's how we know about so many of these scams. Is like our clients call us and they're like, this doesn't seem right. And we're like, yeah, you're right. It's not right. It's a scam. So just like throw it in the trash. All right. So this is going to be available on our website. Like this whole article will be available on our website. We'll tell you about it on this very social media page that you're probably watching this on right now. And we will also have a podcast that's me interviewing Stacy for this information, not just me regurgitating it to you, because she is the person that gave me all the details about every single one of these things. So shout out to Stacy. Thank you. And you can look forward to listening to that podcast in, April. So cheers and have a happy Friday and an amazing weekend if I don't see you before then.